Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemeyer Games. I am the designer and publisher of Vantage. This is the open world cooperative game, non-campaign game that I've been working on for the last 8 years, and I'm excited to show you an unboxing video of this game today. Now, I want to let you know up front, this isn't a true unboxing because technically this box has already been unboxed several times. It was unboxed by my coworker Joe to review these final materials, and it was also unboxed by me to do one final review and approval of the composition of this game. You may have seen versions of this box in previous videos or previous photos, and it looked pretty similar, but there are some subtle differences. The version that you saw before was the pre-production copy, whereas this is the mass production copy. So this means that all of the components for this game, as of the recording of this in mid-April, all the components have been made and printed, manufactured and printed at our partner Panda. But they haven't been assembled yet. And so we get this copy of the game where they assemble one copy of the game so we can make sure that this is our last chance basically to make sure that everything is correct. And I'm happy to say that everything is correct and looks great. I'm really, really happy with it. And then our manufacturer can go ahead and proceed with the assembly portion of the game. But today I'm going to unbox it and show you, I'll talk about some of the things that you'll miss because this isn't the complete original unboxing, but I'll talk about that. I'll talk about some of the subtle things that you'll see here and some of the subtle differences between this and the previous versions that you may have seen on camera or in photos. Let's start with the top of the box. A few things that you may not have seen before are the number that we printed. So down here, we have printed the number of copies. So there are 50,000 copies of the game. And over here we have the player count. I'm sorry, not the player count. Well, we do have the player count, but we have the minutes. I believe on the previous box we listed 90 to 120 minutes, and there are games of Vantage that will certainly go 90 to 120 minutes. Some of them will even be shorter than that. But I wanted to prepare players for a longer experience because the game can be a longer experience if you want it to be. And so we put 120 to 180 minutes on the box. Again, it is a non-campaign game. And so you'll sit down, you'll set up the game in a few minutes, you'll play a session, and then you're done. You'll pack it up and you're done. The only thing that you carry on from game to game in Vantage is your knowledge of the world. Let's open the box and see what's inside. So this box is approximately the size of a Wingspan box, although it's deeper. So it's really more like a box of Tapestry. If you play Tapestry, it's a little bit deeper. And on the sides of the box, actually, yeah, before I go into what's in the box, on the sides of the box, on all the sides are images like this. Here, I'll show it this way, I think. So kind of a key to show you what's on the dice here. And then over here is a key to show you a couple different things. One, to show you the names of the different skills in the game. And you'll see how these numbers align with the numbers of the cards that you can discover in this world as well. Again, this is a cooperative open world game for 1 to 6 players. So the rules, the front of the rule book, you can see that there is a little warning. So this rule book should be on top when you open the game. It should be. The rule book has a little warning saying that this is the type of game where there's stuff that you can spoil for yourself. And so it says, don't look at the content of any card or book other than this rule book, and don't open the spoiler pack. There's spoilers in this game that you don't want to open up. So don't look at things before you experience them, but you can read the rule book, of course. As you can see over here, we have pre-punched the tokens in the game. These are the skill tokens. These are the coins. There are deluxe versions of both of these. There are metal coins and there are wooden skill tokens that you can also get, but included in the game are all the skill tokens and coins that you might need in this world. Over here, we have the board for the game. So this is the only thing that's really in the middle of the table in a game of Vantage other than the piles of tokens and things like that. We did something I think is kind of interesting with the board, where the board is mechanically the same on both sides. But depending on how you decide you like using the board, on this side of the board, we have the mission and the destiny and the challenge dice at the top and the challenge dice pool at the bottom. Really the main things that you're interacting with on this board on a continual basis are you are picking up dice from the challenge dice pool, and you're probably placing some of them in the penalty area. You're also sliding tokens, your tokens for health, time, and morale on this track. So that's the layout for this side. The other side has it slightly different, where on this side you have the challenge dice pool at the top and the challenge dice penalty area on the bottom. I know this is maybe a little bit odd to see this, but we found that while playing this physical version of the game, there were certain times based on where we were sitting at the table that we wanted the challenge dice pool at different orientations. We wanted it at the top or the bottom. So we've given you the flexibility to choose based on how you sit at your table. All right, here we get down to, I guess we'll do the layer of the books first. So this book is the Book of Vantages. Here we go, Book of Vantages. And on the back, it has this first location that you'll encounter in the game. This is you on the ship, and it has instructions for what you do. So in Vantage, there's really no teaching time, and there's very, very little setup that you do before starting a game. And so the first thing you do in any game is to go through these steps. And these are kind of setup steps, but they're also, you're kind of starting to play the game as you're doing these steps, as you're starting on this location. The Book of Vantages also has a lot of stuff on the inside. This is the one spiral bound book because you really only should be looking at one thing at a time, one page at a time when you look at this book. Next up, we have the second location that you'll encounter when you start any game of Vantage. This is the second location 001. And this is on the back of the Book of Secrets. These are on books instead of cards. So originally, here, I'm going to flash forward a little bit real quick. Originally, these two cards were on this card itself, this first card on the stack. But we found that these are the only things in the game that all players, or the only locations in the game where all players are on the same space, on the same location, and there's instructions, and you need to all be looking at the same thing at the same time. So we wanted to make these as big as possible, location 000 and 001. So they are on the back of these books for that reason. So yeah, this is the Book of Secrets. This book also has the glossary, but that is the things that you'll find in the glossary are also secret. And so this is a game of exploration and discovery. The game does not tell you what you will find in this world, or really what to do with the things that you find in this world before you start the game. You are meant to discover them and learn from that as you go. And so the glossary reveals different categories of cards that you might find. And if you ever have a question about one of those categories of cards, you can look it up in the glossary here. We then have all the storybooks. So each of the there are 6 different types of actions that you can take in Vantage, 6 different skills that you can use. There's move, look, engage, help, take, and overpower. And each of them have their own storybook, so that when you look up the look action for, say, location 252, that you don't accidentally spoil what the action would have been if you had chosen to interact with that location in a different way. And so there's a different storybook for each of these. And on the back of each storybook is the kind of essentially a reference card that walks you through your turn. Once you get into the flow of the game, you probably won't need to look at this chart at all, but all of this information is here for you to look at in case you want to. So there's the steps 1 through 8 for your turn. You're choosing an action, and then you are going through this. I've gone through these in a different video, so I won't go through them here, but I'll hold it up here in case you want to see what the steps for a turn look like. And there's a few other reference materials that this shows you what the layout of a card means, what all these things mean. This is all reference material for every player to have, because the back of every storybook has one. Here we go for the take storybook, the overpower storybook. So these books are shared at the table amongst all players. So this one's a little bit different. This is the depart storybook. So this one doesn't have one. This is how you move off of a location, but you use the move skill to do that. Here we go. Here's the move storybook. If you use the move skill to interact with the location. But yeah, you can share these books among all players. Typically, if I'm playing, there's one player. I'd recommend having one player in charge of pulling cards from this box, and then other players are responsible for reading, but all players can really take turns reading. So here we've gotten down to the core content of the game, which is a lot of cards. You can see there's a lot of cards vertically oriented here. And the first time you open your box of Vantage, these will all be paper wrapped, and they should be in order, but hopefully they'll be in order with the card number at the top here. I'll lean this back a little bit so you can see these cards they block the information for each of these sets of cards. You can see that the ranges for the cards are printed here. These are cards 803 through 1029, all the way through card 1708 over here. Those are the ranges for the cards. Those ranges are also printed on these cover cards here. And yeah, in the game, when the game says, okay, you just discovered card 1302, the player who's in charge of finding cards will go through this box and they'll find card 1302. The numbers for the cards are at the top of the card. And so you don't have to spoil the whole card. You'll just find the number and you'll give it to that player. Over here, again, we have these big stacks of location cards. So there are 800 different locations in the game, and these are on double-sided cards. And this is one of the things that you need to do during setup. They store like this, kind of flat packed here. There are little finger holes. I don't know if you can see it on camera here, but there are little finger holes down here to the right. And also, actually, there you go. You can see it. There's a finger hole here and a finger hole here so that you can get your finger under the bottom card of the deck. Because during the game, during setup, you'll just need to orient the decks like this. So it takes, 2 seconds to do this for each deck. So you'll flip these up. And there you go. You have all the cards, the locations ready to go to play the game. Again, they are obscured by cover cards so that you don't accidentally spoil the top location for each of these sets. These are in numerical order. And these cards, when you open the box, should come with 2 paper strips going 2 ways so the cards don't slide around. You can see that we've tried to use paper as much as possible for eco-friendly reasons. So we have a paper insert here. We have paper wrapping on the cards. The cards are all made of paper. There is a little bit of plastic in the game, but we try to minimize the plastic as much as possible. A little bit of that plastic are on the card holders here. So there are 6 different card holders. And one of the main hooks in Vantage is that, here's one of the card holders right here. One of the main hooks in Vantage is that when you are at a location in Vantage, you are looking at that location from a first-person perspective. And I'll show you what that means in reference to this. So here is one of the escape pods that you'll be on in the game. Here's an escape pod, and only I can see this. This is information that only I can see. This is where I am in the world right now, about to crash land on the world, and this is what I can see. Other players aren't on this same location as me, so they can't see this. Only I can see this. And so these card holders are designed to make sure that only you can see this information. However, to kind of double up with that, the backs of these escape pods don't have any information on them, while most of the other location cards in the game are printed on both sides. Otherwise, we couldn't have fit all these cards in this box, and the game would have been considerably more expensive. And so we recommend after you crash land on the planet, this card tells you where you crash land. So like on this escape pod, there are 21 different locations where you can crash land. And these locations are different on every escape pod. So there are 126 different locations where you can crash land on the planet. After you crash land, we just recommend that you you just leave this in your card holder for the rest of the game. And whenever you get another location, you just put that location on top. And that location is there for the rest of the game. Also, to make it easy to sort through all these cards in the game, we have these handy dandy card divider. I don't know what I call them in the game. Card dividers, we'll call it. And so if I'm on like location 64, and I have that location in my card holder, I will mark that spot with this little card right here for my character. And then when the person in charge of finding cards needs to, when I move off that location, when I move off location 64, I'll give that card back to that player. They'll slot it in here and they'll give me my new location because they're always on a location, and they'll slot the card into the new slot. So it's easy to find. It's very quick and easy to find the locations and to insert this card in later. Yeah, anyway, so that is what the function of the card holders is. What else in here? So let's get to these little boxes over here. This is something that wasn't in the pre-production copy. So over here, we have a little bag of all the coins in the game and all the skill tokens. So during setup, all you have to do, these tokens are just kept in here. I would recommend putting a bag or a bag of components on top to kind of hold it in, because to make it easy to put away. But during setup, all you have to do for setup is to put that board on the table, to put the books on the table, orient these location cards like I did here, and give each player one of these, and then take these boxes out and put them on the table, and you're good to go. So this is the box of the skill tokens and the coins. Here is a box of all the dice. So these are the skill dice here, and then there are a bunch of challenge dice below them. And you can organize these really as you want, as long as you can easily get them in and out. Here, there's just a little, here you can kind of see it here, there's a little finger holder here so you can get your finger in this tray. And then finally over here in the last tray, we have, and this is why you keep the plastic bag on top, because the tokens can fall into these cracks. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera there. These tokens are the boost tokens in the game. These represent your knowledge, your ability to use the things that you found in the game, as well as your morale, health, and time tokens. I'm going to keep all those in there. These you'll hand out to players once they know their player color or their character color. The boost tokens are kept in this little container. You just slide down there. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed here, but that's it. I mean, it is a game full of cards that you discover, locations that you are exploring and finding as you play. All these, again, are stored. They have paper strips when you'll open this game for the first time, a real unboxing of the game. And then you have the skill tokens, the coins, the dice over here, and then the boost tokens and the morale, health, and skill tokens over there, along with the handy dandy card holders. Trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing about this, or anything else that I have changed since the pre-production copy. I don't know if there really is. It's been just, trying to find creative ways to fit things into a standard game box, or fairly standard game box, so it can fit onto your Kallax shelf. And it does store vertically. It'll be up to you if you actually want to store it vertically. I think the best way to store it vertically, I'll put the cards back down, is on this side over here, so that these cards lay flat. I think that's the best way, but you can experiment with different directions of how you want to store the game. I made this pile of cards. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this pile of cards is a little lower than these other stacks, because you might want to keep these tokens, or maybe another, if you have the deluxe tokens, you might want to keep them in a bag right here. So there's a good 2 centimeters of space right here where you can store a bag of things. Yeah, we'll put everything back in the box now. All the books right there. Book of Secrets. I'll keep that here so we have that part face up. Here. The board. You don't need to keep the punch board in the game, but I have mine just because it's the only copy that exists right now. Put that on top. Put the box back on as well. If you have any questions about this unboxing, or how this game works, or these components that I just showed you, or why I didn't show you certain components, I mean, the reason for that is that I want you to discover them on your own as you explore this world. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. Thanks.